Good evening. It is January the 10th, 2017. I mentioned back on Sunday that there would be the risk for a couple of updates this week concerning the potential for ice or heavy rain later on this week. So we'll at least mention the basics tonight. I'm going to try and make this video pretty short. There's not a whole lot of room to get into specifics as this event is still several days away in the weather world. Now, it doesn't seem that far away to you, 3 days, but in the weather world, a lot can change in 3 days. So we have still another 72 hours to monitor this event, and we are going to do so very, very closely. We are going to keep one strong eagle eye on this system to make sure that we have a pretty good forecast for this system. Now, there's a lot of wild cards that go into this. Not that I'm going to mention any of those tonight. We will mention those as we get closer to this event. But those wild cards are things that can mess the forecast up. And there are plenty of those because ice is extremely difficult to forecast. I was too young to forecast the ice storm, but I know several other forecasters that I've talked to around this region thought that it was probably the most difficult forecast that they have had to give and probably the most low confidence forecast they have given in their entire life when it comes to forecasting any event across our region, whether it's winter or severe weather. So this event is just the same potential. It has a lot of wild cards with it, but I think there is a little bit more confidence with this, and I don't think that we are in for another ice storm. A lot of people going around Facebook, going around Twitter, any other kind of social media, talking about the potential for an ice storm this weekend. Those are two words that our region do not like because we've already dealt with an historic, catastrophic ice storm 7 or rather 8 years ago at the end of this month. And there is no need for us to be saying those words. I made the mistake a couple of weeks ago when it came to well, it was rather almost a month ago when we had that trace of ice that formed on a Saturday night in our region. And I mentioned the week before that event that there was the potential for an ice storm. And I learned that I don't need to be saying those words because that becomes very hard to hear to people's ears around our region, especially those that first-handly had to deal with it, first responders, anybody in that era, and it's very difficult to hear those words. And so there's no need to be pulling out those two words and putting them around social media, putting them on any kind of network for other people to see across the world, or especially this region. Until you are a forecaster and you have high confidence and you are actually looking into this event, do not go around social media finding maps that look good to you and you like and throwing them out there to scare people. And that is what people are doing, and they do it with every single winter event. They do it with every single severe weather event in our region. And so please quit doing that if you are for the next for the rest of your life. Do not do that because that hurts other individuals across our region. When you do that, it seems easy for you to say those words or for you to put maps out on social media, but it can be hurtful to other people across the region. So I've made the mistake of doing that before. I won't do it again, or at least I won't try and deliberately do it again, unless it's just a pure accident. But I will try my hardest to not do that again. But there are several others of you out there that are very good at throwing some maps out there. So please do not do that. It's just a little bit of a briefing to start it out with, to start this video out with, to just not do that leading up to this event. The GFS model is the first guidance package that we're going to look at. This model is notorious for making mistakes, just like every other model does, but the GFS model has a little bit more of an outlier approach to this system. The GFS model is wanting to show the freezing line reaching just a few counties south of St. Louis, say from Potosi over towards around Marion, Illinois, Harrisburg area, into southwest Indiana. The GFS model at this time is the most northern model when it comes to ice potential. The NAM guidance brings it a little bit further south, about a county or two, and then the Canadian model, which has done fairly well this winter and fall months, has it the furthest south across the Ohio River and along northward. And right now, those are three different model packages, and both of those three are not going to come into good agreement until this system makes it onto American soil, onto the West Coast, which is not there yet. This system has not made it onto the West Coast yet. So a lot of this will not be sampled in through the model packages until we get to that time frame, which would likely be sometime on Wednesday when we begin to see, or at least Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, before we begin to see the models beginning to sample this system a little bit better. So we'll be looking forward to that time frame. Hopefully, a little bit more of agreement in the models, but those are three different scenarios right now, and all three of those are not in agreement. So the forecast is still under the low confidence category. Well, maybe through this event, the GFS, like I said, is a little, and it has been trending northward. Yesterday, it was showing this around where the NAM and the Canadian were showing it, and now it is beginning to shift north and westward. Now, is this a trend that the other models are going to follow, or is the GFS just playing dumb and it will eventually track further south? We'll see how it goes. Right now, I think the GFS is just trending further north, and then it'll eventually come back south a little bit. I don't think it'll come south enough to where it'll reach western Kentucky, but it could. But I think it'll come a little bit further south. I certainly don't think that it's going to continue to trend all the way up to St. Louis or even further north of there and it be correct. Right now, the GFS is a little bit of an outlier, but we'll watch it. Sometimes the outliers win. Moving through, this would be at noon on Friday. A lot of the other models are showing ice further south of here. The purple is sleet. This is freezing rain, this pink right here. You notice some moderate bursts of freezing rain. There is potential that some areas in our region that see ice will begin to see some significant ice accumulation. Now, significant ice accumulation is anywhere from, say, a quarter to a half inch. That doesn't seem a lot when it would say rain totals, but when it's talking about ice, that's enough to cause power lines to become damaged or torn down, tree limbs to fall and damage people's houses or businesses. So that's enough ice to do a lot of damage, and there are plenty of models that are showing the potential for a quarter to a half inch of ice. Where that ends up at, not sure at this point. Notice how the GFS takes the ice and sleet so far north that it even takes the rain along north with it and has no rain in most of western Kentucky for the day on Friday. Again, we'll watch this. The GFS eventually takes the ice a little bit further north as an area of low pressure moves into the region. Temperatures will warm. Whether we see ice on Friday or not, temperatures will warm on Saturday and Sunday, so any ice that would form would eventually change back over to all rain. At this point, it's looking like all rain. Here is the Canadian model guidance. This is the most south guidance. This is midnight Friday morning. And then we have that ice potentially moving into parts of western Kentucky, southeast Missouri on 6 a.m. on Friday. Now, the Canadian model is not as widespread with its precipitation. I think that precipitation will be a little bit more widespread than this, but you notice the idea that it has the coldest air, or that has the cold air further south. Cold air is very heavy. Sometimes the models don't handle it very well, so there is potential that the cold air comes a little bit further south when this is all said and done in reality than the models are forecasting right now. The Canadian model also changes St. Louis from sleet and freezing rain over to all rain before it moves that low pressure system in, and then temperatures warm once again for Saturday and Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. Here's the NAM guidance. This one has the best chance of becoming correct or verifying correctly because it is a short range model, so it has a little bit of a more high resolution look to it, and it has a higher accuracy rate. The NAM model right now is what I'm leaning towards. It has ice along and north of the Ohio River, or at least mainly north of the Ohio River. Some of our extreme northwestern counties up here close to Henderson, Kentucky are getting close or even into that freezing rain. So we'll watch this very closely. This is the 18Z run of the NAM guidance. Notice how it keeps most of that ice. Now, any of this green showing north of here would be ice also. And so the NAM guidance is wanting to show most of this just about a county to the north and west of the Ohio River. We're going to walk through some temperatures with the NAM guidance and see what it is showing for temperatures. We will have a cold front that will be moving through our area on right before this event. Watch how our temperatures on. We'll go ahead and get to this. We have a sharp cold front, a sharp area. Contrast in temperatures, we're talking 59 degrees in Potosi all the way to 38, 34 degrees in St. Louis, 31 degrees in, well, that would be 21 degrees in Kansas City, Missouri. Watch how this line of diversion makes its way southward. It's moving through most of our counties on 6 p.m. on Thursday, temperatures will actually be dropping for parts of southern Illinois and southeast Missouri during the day on Thursday. They will reach their they will reach their highs early in the morning, and then we will see that cold front making its way through mainly during the night on Thursday night, Thursday evening, Thursday night for western Kentucky. But what we're watching is this 32-degree line. How far south will it come? How far south will it go? That is the question. Sometimes the models don't handle this cold air very well, and it goes a little bit further south than anticipated, so we'll watch that. But temperatures by the NAM guidance are forecasted by 6 a.m. on Friday to be 34 degrees in Paducah. That is dangerously close with precipitation in the area to be wintry weather. That is just 2 degrees from being freezing rain. So there is a lot of potential for a forecast bust in this situation, or the models to trend in a significant way, whether it's trending further north or further south. There's potential that the models do trend a little bit further south with this potential icing event, but we'll watch this very closely. Notice how it keeps those temperatures very close throughout the day on Friday, with a very shallow area of cold air dipping into southern Illinois. That's going to make the forecast a little bit more difficult, because now it's looking to become like we're going to have some patchy spots of freezing rain going into the day on Friday as temperatures warm, instead of a defined line of freezing rain to the north and rain to the south. We might have a mix of the two all over the place. So that is something to watch. The NAM guidance keeps temperatures about the same, but warming just a little bit, ever so slightly. And then the temperatures will eventually warm as we go into Saturday and Sunday. The NAM guidance only goes out to Saturday night around, or Friday night at midnight on Saturday morning. The models right now, just to review, the GFS is showing ice north of the Ohio River. The Canadian model is showing ice along and north of the Ohio River, and the NAM is mostly north of the Ohio River. I could have added along and north, but mostly north of the Ohio River. So my current forecast is that temperatures will drop the lowest throughout this event on Friday at 12 a.m. midnight through Friday at 6 p.m. So this will be midnight, Thursday night, Friday morning, whichever way you look at it, through Friday 6 p.m. in the evening. That would be our best chance for ice to form if it were to happen. Temperatures will be ranging from 34 to 38 degrees along the Ohio River. They will warm into the 40s and 50s south and east of the stationary boundary as you get closer to Bowling Green, Kentucky. The further you work southeast, the warmer the temperatures will get. Right now, I'm forecasting all rain for all of western Kentucky. That is as of this update on January the 10th, 2017. This is one in a series of updates that I will do, one tomorrow and then one on Thursday, one on Friday. Right now, I expect a ½ inch to 2 inches of rain, likely across the entire area. Changeable forecasts are likely. Make sure and monitor updates closely leading up to Friday. Make sure and monitor those updates very closely, please, because there is some very high potential for forecasts to change. Please do not be watching your apps. Watch an actual meteorologist or an actual forecaster for updates throughout this event and leading up to this event, because somewhere in the Missouri and Ohio Valley could have some significant ice accumulation. Whether this ends up in western Kentucky, southern Illinois, or southeast Missouri is still in the question. So please monitor updates leading up to this event. I will post another video tomorrow evening, and we will see some new maps fresh off of the data, or fresh data, and we will see what they look like and see how this changed the forecast throughout the next couple of days. Have a great night.